Knights at the Round Table, a round table discussion on speculative fiction books and film. Hi everybody and welcome to the next episode of Knights at the Round Table Season 5. Today we are discussing the 1922 horror film Nosferatu. I had to think about that for a second. I'm sitting at the table with Eric and with Sue, and I'd like to start with general impressions of the film. Sue, you get to go first.
So, it's been a number of years since I've watched this movie. We're talking like 15 to 20 years. And back then I had a certain idea about movies. I have come a long way since. So my very first impression of this movie was I hated it. Now I respect it and I understand it better. It's still okay, but it's not the holy grail that a lot of vampire fandom make it out to be, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Eric.
Sorry. Holy grail and vampire in the same sentence.
I did it just for you.
Yeah.
Please don't make me die.
I had never seen this movie before. Yesterday.
Sorry.
It's okay. So I hadn't seen it before. It was interesting in a historic perspective, and there were some parts of it that were absolutely brilliant. Mm-hmm. And it's almost 100 years old, which is something you really had to keep in mind. And when you're talking about a book, that's not as big a deal, but a movie that, like, this is what Flappy Bird is going to be for cell phone game apps in 70 years.
That is horrifying.
I mean, it was a horror.
Alright, I'll give you that one.
For me, I really enjoyed this film, keeping in mind that it is almost 100 years old. And I was very, very aware, I realized, of the images that were used in this film without being aware that it came from this film. So, in that regard, it's quite a seminal piece, really.
It is.
But unless you're watching it from that historical perspective, you will probably be bored of your brains. Mm-hmm. I, however, really enjoyed it. It was great. This is incidentally the first silent movie I've ever watched.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with that. I think it's really the only silent movie I've ever watched in my life.
I think I've seen some of the comedies.
I think I've seen bits and pieces of the comedies, but I've never actually sat down to watch.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And even at that, like, I haven't watched a ton of black and white movies either, so you really have to take a step back and realize that the actors do have a harder road ahead of them because the only things helping you are the music and your out there acting.
The music, I don't think, was composed until after this movie was shot.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. In some of the commentary on IMDb, they talked about how, depending on which version you watched, had totally different music, and nobody knows what the original music to this was. Because there was a lawsuit by Bram Stoker's wife after Bram Stoker had passed, that she got every single copy possible destroyed, and so to find an original with the original music is impossible.
A few of the films survived and made it to the States and were reissued, but this is the equivalent of like what we see on YouTube now. These are not giant actors. There was no such thing as a giant actor other than on stage back then.
Yeah.
The technology was 30, 40 years in. This was one of the first giant films coming out of Germany at the time.
Yeah, it was the first horror film, I believe, that came out. And it also used a lot of, like, stop action.
Yeah, it did. It used
and
a lot of stop action
they did
animation.
it brilliantly. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I give this a lot of credit in terms of what they did, what they envisioned for this piece, and just did a remarkable job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. I think part of the issue that people might have with the acting there will come back to it being...
If you change the music to chase music...
Yakety sax when they were chasing Knox.
Yeah.
I was actually in my head. But...
Especially since points during this movie they sped it up.
Yes, that cracked me up. The carriage, where it just started going really fast, and you're just like, what the? But then they made sure that you knew it wasn't a mistake, because Hatta tried to put his head out the window, and the wind was blowing in his face, and he couldn't leave it out. So you're like, oh, it's supposed to be going that fast, because it's a supernatural carriage. Gotcha, film, gotcha!
Yes. Well, couldn't you tell by the horse?
No, I just thought it was just like a creepy guy that owned the carriage. Like, I just thought it was a creepy carriage, and then it was like, oh no, it's actually supernatural. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
So I think the music that's considered authentic or most realistic is the organ music.
Oh
that
yeah,
goes
no,
with it.
I loved that. I appreciated that at the beginning.
I liked it, but some of the lighter moments, I felt like a hockey game. It's like dee 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 dee, and I'm like, oh, who scored? But when it got to the actual like creepy moments, the shadows and all that, the music was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, I cannot imagine what someone has to go through to compose an hour and a half worth of music that will speak for everything.
Yeah, it's a solid piece of score. Like, there's no breaks, there's no silence in this silent film.
No, I don't. I really don't think there
is. Isn't. It's constant. It's,
Yeah, I was going to say, back to the point I was trying to make before I got way off on tangent, is the acting. There are two reasons why it might seem a bit weird. One, it's coming off a theatrical tradition, and in the theatre, you don't have the benefit of close-ups, so you can't really play subtlety in the same way. And two, the technology was really young, so again, you didn't have the option of the close-up or the subtlety. You had to make every expression and every movement quite big for the camera to be able to pick it up and for you to convey what was actually going on. Which is why it might seem a bit weird to us now, but it makes sense for the time and the tech that was used.
Oh yeah, and I mean, they hadn't developed a pan sideways yet.
No?
This was one of the first movies to actually do close-ups of face, which is why the makeup looked weird.
Yeah, oh god, the makeup, that struck me
They all
so
looked
well.
like they had the same makeup on, except
More or
for
less.
the Nosferatus.
The Nosferatu.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a few lines in it that were so racist. Like, I'm going off to the land of thieves and ghosts.
Thieves and Phantoms.
Oh yeah.
Transylvania.
See,
Just...
there's different translations. Mine said ghosts.
Oh, mine
Thieves
said
and ghosts.
Phantoms.
Interesting. We watched the YouTube version.
I watched the YouTube version too, but it
There are
might have
different
been
YouTube versions, I guess.
Yeah.
Question mark.
Yeah, mine said ghosts and thieves, and I'm like, oh, come on, man. Leave the Romani people alone.
Yeah,
exactly.
Thieves and Phantoms.
And then there was also Sinless Maiden was the only one. While I saw multiple translations of that as supposed to be not Sinless Maiden, because she was married.
Okay, so I got Innocent Maiden in my translation.
Innocent, yeah.
Really, I got Sinless.
Oh, I had Innocent, and I put a big question mark, and I'm like, does that mean that they? I mean, have they?
It's supposed to be an innocent woman.
Yeah.
And not innocent in the no sex way, but in the pure of heart.
The pure of heart way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes way more sense, because I was like,
I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, all of these are mistranslated.
Yeah.
I mean, 1929 Americans translating German.
Yeah, that's true.
They probably wanted to make it more something.
Something? Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, that put a big question mark over my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought they were married. Did that mean... I think... Not to pry in your wedding or anything, but
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Did he leave just after getting married?
I know, Hatta, I mean...
Well, they were newlywed.
That's what the wedding
how
night is
newlywed?
for!
Well...
How newlywed? It's like, did he go to work right after?
Okay, we're married. I will see you in a week.
I love that line. This is going to take a lot of work. It's sweat, tears, and maybe a little blood. And I'm like,
so this...
perfectly hammy. But... I mean, that was a translation, so I expected the translation to be kind of extra hammy. And for the time period, I mean, even in the 50s, you had some vampire that were supposed to be scary that had the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie in certain places just confused the crap out of me. It just confused the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Just, oh my god, why?
I was like, it was pretty obvious plan.
So he's a real estate agent, and he goes off to get the contract signed, because obviously you can't just ship the contract like you shipped the messages later on in the movie. But, that's aside from it. You have to go see the guy and talk to him, make sure...
Well, he's got to sell him on it.
Yeah, no, he kind of introduced by saying, I want to buy property. It was already kind of half done for them.
Yeah.
But he goes, and he's all excited, but everybody else in the movie were like, oh no, you're not going there. Like, they're terrified, and he's like, oh, I don't believe this stuff. And I'm like, just how stupid do you have to be? Like, here is where the trope of horror films happen, where it's like, you are knowingly walking into a bad situation here, and you're going to stay there. Why? And it wasn't until later that I realized, oh, he's actually locked in the building, but that's never... explicitly shown.
Sure, no, it's not. Can I would love the footage of the werewolf, by the way. It was a striped hyena.
It was a striped hyena.
It cracked me up. It cracked me up.
I paused and went to Jen. That is the cutest werewolf ever.
I mean, hyenas stink to high heaven, and they're scary animals. But just, it was like, oh, no, werewolf is a hyena.
You're a cute little pup.
And you know what? It would make sense, because not too many people have been to Africa and seen a hyena, so they'd be like, oh, what is this? This is amazing!
Yeah, especially the 1920s.
Yeah, 1920s.
I haven't read Dracula in a long time.
I haven't read Dracula. I haven't
traumatically blocked it out, so I have no idea how close it is to the book.
No,
That's what I was thinking about that when you're like, he went in like an idiot in a horror movie, and I'm like, is that from the book? Is that similar to the book? I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't read the book at all, which...
tell you.
Okay.
I can't...
I've read the book, but it's one of those in the pantheon of books that I hated.
Oh, okay. I've never read it.
It's journal entry style,
which
I've
I got
complained
from
about
the
a
film.
lot.
Yeah. I got that from the film. But there's, what was I going to say?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Hyenas. Africa.
Yeah, no. When you said, is that from the book?
Is that from the book?
Oh, yeah. I really appreciate, they use the word Nosferatu in this, which, when I was researching my vampire novel, shameless plug,
Human by S.M. Carrière. It's actually really good.
It's amazing. As a vampire fan, I can tell you.
As a non-vampire fan, I enjoyed it.
Thanks, guys. But the Nosferatu, the name comes from Nosphoros, which in Greek means plague bringer.
Mm.
So all of that tying in this film, I was like, oh yeah!
Yeah.
I get it, that's awesome.
They did a lot of really brilliant things in this film.
It's probably from the book.
No. Nosferatu was something that they brought up in this because they were trying to avoid the copyright infringement.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was.
So this is the movie.
You guys did your research. I love you.
I think
Wait,
Nosferatu
German horror movies doing their research? Never.
I think Nosferatu was put together by 3 different types of definitions. I can't remember. It was something that I read somewhere where they're like, this means this, and this means this, and this means this, and if you put it together, it becomes Nosferatu, and that's where they did it.
But the connection with the plague made me smile, because I'm like, Nosferos, I know where that came from.
Yeah, because there's a lot of plague in this. Plague.
Yeah. It's a plague. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead.
The crosses. Chalkboard doors.
Did they do this? Did they do the Christian cross? I thought they just put an X on the door.
Nope, it was a cross.
Christian cross.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, I didn't do my research on the plague, apparently.
Whether this movie did it right or not.
No, that's what I mean.
I know they're closer to the plague, but not really that. No. I don't know what they did historically.
Okay,
in this movie, they did a Christian cross.
Yeah, in this movie they did a Christian cross, but I'm thinking historically, was it a cross or just an X? I can't remember. Although, to be fair, X used to just be the symbol for... That's why people do this. Because it's an X on the forehead, it's the cross, same thing. Just squint. Anyway, squint.
Sideways. When it's carrying the cross, it's an X.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so if you know what they did historically, leave it down below.
Yes. All our plague historians that actually... There are some people who are historians who watch this. Never mind. Jeff and Ethan.
Oh my.
Evan,
Evan?
Probably.
Evan, if you're watching this...
Please let us know.
Let us know.
And Jeff probably would know too.
I expect Jeff would know, yeah. Although he's really more into the Lovecraftian kind of horrors.
Yeah, that's true. But plagues...
But plagues.
I mean, that's a universal
Locusts.
love. The thing that I really loved about this movie was the use of shape and light. So the shadows, the lights,
I love how
even
they use shadow.
Nosferatu's shape, even though it's not like all that terrifying to us now, it paints a picture,
Yes.
which is really, really well done. And
Also, the unnatural way he moves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was brilliantly done.
Yeah, every shot was well thought out. I mean, there were some that were not necessary, some were too long, and so on, but they were composed like a painting every time, and I love that.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because it was Roger Ebert that put this film as one of his top 45 films of all time. And he did say, like, he did classify it as a brilliant art piece, as
Yeah.
opposed to...
The way that they used shadows to invoke horror is really, really great.
And something that modern movies have forgotten at times.
At times,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think Alien was the last one that really used shadow to great effect. The whole thing was dark, so it was very subtle. Alien, the first one, not the
No,
second.
I'm thinking of all the horror movies I've watched, and
Oh.
I tend to stick to the monster movies. So I think Cabin in the Woods used it a little too, or was that mostly mirrors?
I think... Oh, I don't remember.
Joss Whedon has a thing about mirrors.
Has a thing?
Well, all of his movies or TV shows, there will be he uses reflections to trick you and to like, ooh, look at the mirror. Oh, we're going to the person. And
Yeah.
to show that things are askew, he shows them through a mirror.
Sure. I don't remember. I don't remember
Uh,
Cabin in the Woods all that much, except that I did laugh out loud in several moments.
That was the point of the movie.
Yeah. My favourite still being the mermaid death. It was funny.
I don't know. The unicorn death was
Yeah, the unicorn death was also very good.
not the death of a unicorn or mermaid.
No,
we would never
no,
laugh at
that's-
that.
no,
there were
that's-
humans
I
being
would.
killed by
I
those.
just...
You would laugh at the death of a unicorn?
If that fucker was trying to impale me, yes, I would.
And now we know.
So if you're going to kill Sonia and you get killed on the way, she's going to laugh at you. Just add insult to your death.
Yeah. Rub salt in your wound. You won't feel it, you'll be dead. Don't worry about it.
So not only is she going to laugh at you, she's also going to season your corpse.
Bacon.
Unicorn bacon.
Vampires!
And back to vampires.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so the image of the Count with his his fangs really close together, and the sharp clawed hands and the sort of like the weird ears and stuff like that,
Yeah.
has been one of the most enduring symbols of a vampire
Yes.
that I can think of. Because that image of him at the window, I recall that image despite not ever having seen the film.
That's because it's been in everything.
Yeah.
If you look at IMDb, there is a giant list of references that everything, even non-vampire movies, have used. In some like little places, you'll see a picture or a book with a reference to it or something like that. It's just, it has made a huge impact.
Yeah, it's made an
in the
enormous impact.
Yeah, it's one of the big first movies. One of the ones that first influenced everything that came after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an enduring image too. I
And
quite like it.
that's what I pictured the special vampires in your
My
book.
Nosferatu?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I pulled it from without realizing it, of course. And then I saw him and I'm like, oh, it's him. Yep, I was original.
It's also sort of the forefront of, apparently, again, not having read Bram Stoker's Dracula just for reasons. They also this was also the pioneer of vampires being killed by sunlight. And this was what catapulted that entire thing for what people know as vampires today. Which was
that
very
makes sense.
interesting.
There was
Because,
some stuff in here that was, I think, original to this. Them turning into rats.
yeah.
sleeping in soil. Was that from
Yeah.
this? Or
Yes.
The book?
Yes. Having to bring the soil with him because
And that's why he, like,
That's
there's
where they
that
drew
one
their
scene
power.
where he's carrying his own coffin, and I'm like, is nobody watching this? Like, he's
Yeah.
just walking
He's just
with
walking.
his
I'm like, wow, that is a
coffin.
light coffin. Or he's very strong.
he's very strong.
Yeah.
Supernatural entity demon thing. The image of him standing at the far end of the hall when Hutter peeks through the door,
Yeah.
that was genuinely frightening.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine audiences in 1922 be going, no, because I was almost, nah.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Genuinely frightening.
It
Yeah.
was.
I also liked how they used the idea of I guess think of it sort of like a psychic connection in that when Hutter had his bag and the picture of his wife came out onto the table and he's like, oh, this is your wife, and now
She has a lovely neck.
Yeah, and that was really funny. And now he's got like a connection with her, and so you start seeing scenes where
She is seeing what's going on to her husband, and
yeah, and she's like climbing up onto the balcony, and you think she's gonna jump, or something, or or he's gonna like just magically come over and like take her off, and they go away and get married. Like, this was kind of what I was expecting this to do.
Can I say, it cracked me up how the women walked in this. Because it wasn't just Hutter's wife, Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
Because when she was sleepwalking, she would walk, but she would walk like she's wearing heels, but in bare feet. So
Oh,
her
yeah,
heels
no,
were
I
off
noticed
the
that,
ground. But she wasn't the only one who did it. I'm like,
No.
maybe it's just because she's sleepwalking and stuff. And then the other dude's wife did the same thing when she went to go collect Sleepwalker McGee. And I was like, nope, I guess that's just the way they taught women to walk in the theatre, ?
I don't know.
walk
was
as
weird.
if you have heels.
Yeah, just walk on the balls of your foot. Like,
We'll-
their
we'll
heels
add them
never
in
touch
post.
the ground. Oh, God, could you imagine?
In 100 years,
In 100
when we have
years.
that tech.
We'll fix it in post.
That's funny. Yeah.
It's hard to judge something like this because
It
of
is.
the lack of... Because it has influenced everything we've seen, but because of that, it is so not special anymore.
Yeah, so it's cliche,
Yeah.
but it's
it
the one that
created the
started the cliches, yeah.
I had the
Exactly.
same issue reading some of the Sherlock Holmes stories. Where I was like, well, it's obviously this person. This is so cliche. Oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
This is where it comes from.
This is where it comes from, yeah.
Yeah.
No, agreed. Although I found the cliches in this refreshing, I guess, because of the way it was told, because it was a silent film.
Mm.
For some reason, I didn't find them jarring the way
I didn't find them jarring. I just said,
Yeah.
oh, well, that's where that comes from. Hey, look, the shot. Like, there's the shot
Yeah.
of him walking up the stairs.
Oh, with
which
the
is,
shadow?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is mirrored in Fantasia
Yeah.
with the buckets, and it's done all over the place.
Yeah, that was a really interesting scene.
But it's...
I like that shadow, though.
Yeah.
That shadow was menacing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
No, I know.
It was well done, but I've seen it so often in everything that I'm like, oh, that's where that's from.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
I spent
right?
most of the movie going, oh, well, that's where that's from.
Yeah.
Yep.
There were a few things about the movie that made me go, wait, what? Like the letter that Nuck was reading right at the beginning. I'm like,
The one that looks like it's...
that
someone was
torn
swearing all the way
straight
across.
out of the Book of Shadows.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah,
like,
no, it really did, and I'm like,
how can you read this? 2, does this not set up alarm bells in your head? 3, I really love that there was a drawing of a house on the back page.
yes.
Well,
Exactly.
Noxon at the beginning looked like the Nosferatu, so
A little
I assumed
bit,
he
yeah.
was one of the minions.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
And when you could read the weird Transylvanian writing...
wingdings,
Exactly.
you could read the
yeah.
wingdings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, I was just like, what?
Does anyone know how to write Transylvanian? No. Does anyone know how to write from this country? No. Alright, just draw stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't know what to do, if you don't know how something works, just make it up.
I guess, yeah. Although it does explain how he became enthralled, so to speak.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like maybe there was a spell in those Words.
Yeah, that's exactly
I
the
assumed
impression I
that
got.
he was one of the many minions of vampires around the world, and the master was deigning to go visit him, type thing.
Oh, maybe.
That's what I got.
Interesting.
Maybe.
But there were Nosferatu everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose that would make sense. Like if you already have the ability to have that kind of connection through a picture, I imagine this wouldn't be any different too.
Yeah, it almost seems like they were setting Nock up to be like that because of the line that nobody knew much about Nock except that he paid his men well.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said that whole thing about it might cost you sweat, tears, and blood.
And blood.
And I was like, okay, yeah, he's a vampire.
Mwah!
Oh yeah.
Mwah! Sorry. That's what he should have had, the maniacal laugh.
Oh, definitely.
Maniacal laugh.
Harder to do in silent film, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's like...
And then title card, maniacal laugh.
That's true. I know that when I originally watched this, I didn't find it very interesting, or didn't get it at all. Like
it is
a million years ago.
Very slow.
It is.
And like the whole boat scene with the carriage, and I'm like, come on, something happened. Oh, they're all dead now.
Yep.
Well, this is a terrible way to travel.
I know, right?
I mean, just bring a couple of people who regenerate their blood and suck them. Oh my.
Anyways, it wasn't long after I had watched this the first time that I came across another movie that I mistook to be the making of Nosferatu, but really it was sort of like a...
Oh, that was... Yeah.
Not like a spin-off film, but it was called Shadow of the Vampire, so it's Willem Dafoe and John Malkovich. And
God, that would be amazing!
And I found that to be way more interesting. Yeah, because they wanted to show how obsessive the director of Nosferatu was about this piece of work, and so they decided to like spoof it in a way, and I found that to be way more enjoyable than the original film. But
now I have to watch it because
you should.
That sounds hilarious.
Yeah, no, it was quite interesting.
Put it in the bowl.
It's not speculative. It's not really speculative. It's about the making of a movie.
That's true. He doesn't become a vampire in that.
I think he does actually method act it.
Oh god.
Let's just say he sucks.
It's you're fired.
It's a bloody good show.
Just fired. Give him the look.
That was my stomach.
Your stomach agrees with me.
Or something.
Puns are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Disagree with me in the comments.
Oh my.
Fight me.
So of something that was just completely out of left field, as we said, there were a lot of different points where this film was referenced in modern day, film, and that's literally like every single year. The one that was probably the most surprising was SpongeBob. There's an episode called The Graveyard Shift in which Count Orlok actually appears.
I would not put it past SpongeBob from everything I've heard.
Of all the things I could have read.
I appreciate that factoid. That's brilliant.
I think there's a shadow of him in one of the Phineas and Ferb episodes too.
Oh god.
It wouldn't surprise me. I know that the one of the Buffy episodes with the Master is based off of this too.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, given that it was Buffy.
Yeah, I know, right? It's Buffy. We love Buffy. It's true.
That sounded like Tarzan.
What's also very interesting about this film is that Nosferatu himself is only actually on screen for 9 minutes.
Really?
Really? That was his total screen time?
Total screen time.
Oh, it seemed like more of that. I guess it was
the
threat of him
I kept
being on screen.
thinking about that after I read that. And
that's impressive. That's really good filmmaking, actually.
Really good presence.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're going to do a horror, that's probably the better way to do it, is don't reveal your bad guy right off the bat. Like, build up as much as you can before you actually... It takes a full, I think they said, 26 minutes before he actually shows up the first time.
Mm-hmm.
A question, he was the carriage driver, right?
I don't know. I didn't see that in any of the trivia.
The carriage driver looked exactly like him and Knox, like the shape and the hunch and everything. So I just assumed he was another...
Oh, another minion.
Guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
All Nosferatu look alike. I
Say
can't
it.
tell them apart.
That's Nosferatuist.
God damn it. What is wrong with you people?
Coffee?
The plague is spreading. Save yourselves.
Yeah. I genuinely enjoyed the film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those films that you have to pay attention to because it's a silent film. So you
Yeah.
can't just close your eyes and listen to the dialogue. So don't watch this when you're tired.
Yes.
Would be my advice.
When writing my lovely notes, which are mostly just plotline, I kept pausing because otherwise, or I would like rewind on the YouTube.
Otherwise you would have to
Yeah.
you would miss stuff because you're looking away.
You look up and you're like, wait, what happened?
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, nothing's happening. Boat. Wait, where are we now?
What's with the plague?
Yeah.
So, final thoughts and star rating, Eric?
I know, it's hard.
Like I said, this is a piece of cinema history, and it has some brilliant pieces that have obviously influenced everything after it. I don't think I would rewatch it unless I had to. I'll give it a 3.5 out of enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. I'll give it a 3.5. There were a lot of things that, considering the technology at that point in time, and considering it is a silent film, and is driven primarily by overacting, and not anything else to sort of like help you along with the story, I find that they did a fantastic job putting this whole piece together and to have such a huge influence on the vampire fandom throughout the years. It's still not my most favorite work, but it's definitely brilliant for what it started and what it sort of evolved into and become over the years, and so 3.5 is what I would give it.
Yeah, so similar. I'd give it a 3, just because if you're not used to silent film, or if you don't like slower films, or anything, you'll probably be bored out of your tree. But I found it genuinely fascinating, both from like a storytelling perspective and also from a historical perspective. And I really loved how they played with shadow, and I really loved sort of if not the way it was, what am I trying to say? I really loved, maybe not the character so much, but the way it was portrayed of the Nosferatu.
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done, and I actually really enjoyed watching the film. So yeah, I might watch it again.
There you go.
And you're working on Humans too?
Humans too.
Yes, it's going to happen. Or they could just do or they could just do Humans. Alien.
Humans, yeah.
Humans.
We just talked about it.
Is it Bahubali?
No, it's Jumanji.
Oh, Jumanji! Okay, so this is not the original,
So
but
excited.
Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, the
Yeah.
2017 film with Dwayne The Rock
Dwayne
Johnson,
Johnson.
Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan and
Jack Black.
Yes.
Oh,
There.
and Jonas...
Oh yeah, Nick Jonas.
Nick Jonas, there we go.
That one. The one who was also surprised could act. I saw this in cinemas. He's a
That could be
musician.
said about almost anyone in that cast at times.
Not Karen
If you
Gillan.
don't know them, you're
Oh,
like,
well.
oh wait,
No,
they can
it's
act?
just because I know
Yeah.
Nick Jonas is a musician. I
Yeah,
didn't know
that's
that
true.
not all musicians can act. See
No,
Madonna.
That's very true.
So, shots fired.
If you're Madonna, please leave a comment. Tell Sona how wrong she is.
Okay. So the next film we will be reviewing is Welcome to the Jungle, Jumanji. That's a 2017 film. I had a lot of fun with this one. So yeah, thanks very much for watching it. If you have any thoughts about Nosferatu, the 1922 film, leave them down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks very much, guys. Bye! Insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain.
I feel like I'm missing something.
Also, we laughed like twins, and that was fucking freaky.